Are you tired of Monopoly's boring modern day setting? Do you like medieval fantasy settings more? And most importantly, are you weird enough to play a board game about real estate rather than something actually fun based on medieval fantasy? If your answer is yes, then we proudly present to you Scrolls of Estatia. Are you sick of having two different decks for essentially the same types of cards in your Monopoly game? Well, in Scrolls of Estatia, we have Scrolls and Fortune. Fortune cards will activate as soon as you draw them and can have any type of positive or negative effects like standard chance cards. Scrolls, on the other hand, are powerful spells that will be kept in your hand after drawn and can be used whenever you wish to turn the tides of the real estate war. No longer are the pieces of each player only different for cosmetic purposes, but they represent 9 different classes to choose from based on your favorite RPG games to play. Traveler, who moves an extra few squares more than the outcome of the dice every now and then, being able to make more loops around the map to gain more money or reach a town sooner than the other classes at the earlier stages of the game. Noble, who starts out with extra money and pays less tax and lets you scream "you filthy peasants" to the other players if you are really excited to roleplay, because that's what nobles do. Knight, for boring and uncreative players that still want to win games, as it pays less rent than the other classes and doesn't play any differently in any other way. Treasure Hunter, who will draw a fortune card once every 3 turns, making the game infinitely more fun if you have a gambling addiction. Wizard, for players that are really into fantasy games, as it has a mana bar and will draw a scroll every time it's full and deplete it, so that you will be drowning in scrolls while the other players are panicking about whether they should use their only scroll in this turn or the next. Fortune Teller, who gets to choose one of 2 different cards each time it has to draw from a deck, so that your chances are much lower than other classes to draw cards with negative effects, unless you're a very hardcore gamer and choose the bad card instead of the good one to make it harder on yourself. Thief, who steals money from other players when it lands on the same square as them, because let's be honest, you are not playing the game right if you are not trying to frustrate all the other players as much as possible. Builder, who builds for cheaper on lands that it owns, allowing you to turn Estatia into New York in far fewer centuries.
Nobody builds walls better than me.
Or, if you are an absolute psychopath, you can pick Cardinal, who builds churches and cathedrals instead of inns and mansions that take even more money from people, because no matter how poor you are, you still have to pay extra to buy a place from heaven. Last but not least, we have also replaced the most insignificant square in the game, that useless one with an ugly car on it, to the most fun part of the game, the feast. When you enter the feast as a boy, you live as a man. You gain powerful buffs based on your class to make your opponents rage even more like a true gamer. If you are curious to find out what those are and want to try out all the cool mechanics we talked about, come and join us at Scrolls of Estatia. Side effects include stress, headaches, adversity from your friends, misery and depression.